Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
This is Science for Humans with Dr. Jeff Galini.
Hey, Dr. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, Carl?
Wonderful, wonderful. I got to say something real quick. So I got an email from a guy, actually not an email, I got a message on the website on superradio.com going, hey, what's with all the remedial stuff here on Science for Humans? You know, we are reaching an ever-growing audience. Not everybody is up on all of this stuff. And also, this segment is a feeder for an AM radio station in Billings, Montana, that actually is designed to expose people to the show. And so, yes, you're right. This is remedial stuff. A lot of you people already know it. This is a refresher course for those of you who have forgotten. But more importantly, to the people who are not up to par with the rest of the superhuman nation, this gives them the foundation to understand the importance of some of this stuff. I needed to say that because I got this message, Dr. Jeff, going, what's with all the remedial stuff? And it's purposeful. We're doing this on purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know I've got nothing but great emails, thanking for the information. I think like you said, we forget about the basics. We're always looking for the latest, greatest pill or miracle. But at the end of the day, yes, this is on purpose because we want to discuss the basics, to help people be healthier and live longer. We're going to have some controversial stuff that's going to happen next month.
Okay. Good. So we got that out of the way. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this is for you. So today we're going to be talking about iron, the most ubiquitous of all of the elements on our planet, right?
Absolutely. Iron is, we've all heard about iron and steel. It's a strong, magnetic, silvery gray metal. Atomic number 26 for you science buffs. And it's mostly used in the construction and manufacturing, to form steel. But iron is necessary to make hemoglobins. These are the substances that carry the oxygen through our bloods to all the cells in the body. Hemoglobin is what makes our red blood cells red. With insufficient iron, you don't get enough hemoglobin. Therefore, you don't get enough oxygen going to all the organs of the body. I used to hear a saying in the old days called, tired blood.
Yes.
And what it really meant was there just wasn't enough oxygen or iron, in the blood to carry those oxygen, to those vital organs and muscles.
In fact, you just reminded me of something that my grandparents took, something called Geritol. I'm Googling it right now. But Geritol was advertised for tired blood. I bet it was a form of iron, huh?
It was, again, I think back then we talked about more of these things. Now, again, we forget about the basics of what our human body needs. And, we can supplement ourselves. We don't have to run to the doctor, to get an iron supplement. We can get those from the stores. But also, iron is needed not only for the blood, but also for the brain, neurotransmitters, neurochemicals that carry messages from one nerve to another. These all require sufficient amounts of iron to function properly. So pretty important.
So iron is part of our physical makeup. And it plays a role in a variety of different things, but it's one of those things where just the right amount is good, too much is not good, and too little is not good, right?
Absolutely. Now, this is one of those things that, you got to be careful not just to run out and, get an iron supplement and it says take 1 and you take 10, because there are some side effects, to high amounts of iron. But like you said, just the right amount is perfect. Too little, you get tired, you run out of gas. But let me just talk a little bit about some of these side effects if you were to take too much iron, just so we get it off the table.
Right.
Constipation and diarrhea are the most common thing that happens. And And if you have to be on an iron supplement, all you got to do is just take a little stool softener. That kind of takes care of that. The other thing that happens if you take too much at one dose, nausea and vomiting may occur.
Yes.
And, the recommendation is you just take smaller amounts at one time, spaced out, throughout the day. And we've been constantly talking about this on this show about not taking a whole lot at one time. It's better to take things over a course of time. The other thing, if you take an iron tablet, black stools, that's actually a sign that it's working well. And then be careful if you use iron in a liquid form because it will stain your teeth.
Really?
Yes, it is a mineral. Do you ever put iron in your yard? I do out here. If you get it on the concrete, you're going to have kind of a reddish brown stain, and that's what can appear on your teeth.
That's terrible. So you have rust spots on your teeth.
Basically, yeah. The way to get around that, if you do like the liquid, because I've seen liquid forms of iron, is you just mix it with some water or fruit juice, kind of water it out, and drink it with a straw. And if you do have those spots, doctors recommend or dentists recommend using some baking soda. That should be able to break that stain up.
Well, let me ask you a question, Dr. Jeff. I get the idea why some people like liquids, but some things are not appropriate to dissolve. Like we talked about creatine and the creatinine conversion. It would appear to me, to my naive sense of science, that iron is best taken in a capsule form as opposed to a liquid, because in a liquid you have to assume that liquid has some amount of H2O in it, and then hydrolysis occurs. And wouldn't that oxidize the iron and almost convert it into iron oxide or rust?
Yeah, it could, depending on the formulation. And the other thing is these minerals, they're not water soluble. So normally a liquid form would be a suspension. So if the suspension was done properly, you could stabilize that for probably 12 to 24 months, maybe. But you're absolutely right. I mean, this is something that's more stable, in a solid dose form, capsule. This might be one you might want to take in a tablet, because of a time released, so that you get small amounts instead of, a whole lot at one time. But again, you just got to look at the dose.
What about deficiencies? Let's go ahead and talk about deficiencies, so some people might be able to say, oh, wow, I've got that. Maybe I need more iron.
Yeah. And this one is, the biggest deficiency, is really all around being tired. But it's interesting that iron deficiency is the most common nutritional deficiency in the United States. And women are among those at the greatest risk. So, this is a very common problem. As we've been talking about some of these other vitamins and minerals, we said, it's very uncommon that people are deficient. This is one that we are. But the first sign is if you're exhausted, you're tired, you probably don't have enough oxygen, reaching those tissues.
Right.
So, that's a real good sign that you could be iron deficient. Another one is, if you're constantly pale, sticky, again, hemoglobin gives your blood its red color and your skin that rosy hue. So again, if you're deficient, your blood won't be quite as red, which could affect your skin. Sometimes people who get short of breath very easily for no reason, restless leg syndrome, for those of you that, you just kind of get that restless leg, headaches, now there's a lot of things that cause headaches, but again, without blood reaching the brain, that is probably one of the more common things that would cause a headache. If you get real anxious for just no reason, again, these are all things that have to do with oxygenating. Also, if you're starting to lose your hair, not only is it biotin, it could also be an iron deficiency. Here's one I didn't know about, Carl. Doctors say that if you are craving clay, dirt, or ice, you have something called pica, and you are deficient in iron, and you should contact your doctor immediately.
Or go out and graze in your backyard and eat some dirt. So what you're talking about here is basically anemia. When people become anemic, especially women, because they menstruate and they lose blood, that's the assumption during their menstrual cycle that they lose iron. These are all symptoms of low iron. But yes. I've also read that too much iron can produce some of these same symptoms. Have you read that at all?
Yeah, I mean, they can, that's why any of these minerals you have to be very, very careful of. It's not like a water-soluble vitamin where there's really not much side effect because they're in and out of your system. Your body can build up toxicity to these things. So, yes, you got to be very careful. I think the percent daily value is a accurated, amount of iron, which, it's about 15 milligrams, I believe.
Wow, that's pretty high. 15 milligrams of iron a day. That's not a small amount.
No, it's not. And when you look at, what we gain from our
and I'll bet you most of us are, you know what? I bet I'm not even getting, well, I do eat a lot of beef, and I know we're going to talk about food sources, but I bet a lot of people don't get that 15 milligrams of iron a day.
Well, they don't, because especially if you are a vegetarian or vegan, nothing against that lifestyle, but, the facts are that your body does not, basically all iron is not created equal. Your body absorbs hemi-iron, which comes from meats, poultry, and fish, 2 to 3 times more efficiently than non-hemi-iron, which comes from vegetables and things. So, yes, I believe there's a lot more people probably deficient of iron, which is why it's the number one, common deficiency in the U.S., just because of our diets.
In fact, Vince Gironda and Jack LaLanne and Armand Tanny used to go to the stockyards in California specifically to buy fresh blood. I know a lot of people are cringing right now. But Gironda said that the iron found in fresh cow's blood was the best, and that's what you're talking about, hemi-iron. The iron that is already bonded to blood is the best iron. It's the most bioavailable. And they used to drink that stuff. They used to mix it with raw milk, and they used to drink it.
I don't think I could do that.
I don't know. To put on, back in the day, Jeff, to put on a couple pounds of muscle pretty quickly.
I guess so. Remember the big desiccated liver tablets?
That was the other thing I was thinking of. I wanted to talk about, what I want to do is I want to take a break. And when we come back from the break, I want to start talking about food sources, but also supplements, because back in the day, those liver tablets were the go-to thing for a lot of guys because of, not only the protein, but the iron in them. So let's do this. Let's take a break, okay? And we'll come back and we'll talk more about this. We're talking with Dr. Jeff Galini. He is my co-host here at Soup Science for Humans. And we're talking about iron, a very basic element that should be in your diet. If it's not, we're going to tell you how to get more of it on the other side of the break. Stay tuned. Do you know how to properly use carbohydrates to ignite your performance in the field and in the gym? You will now, thanks to this free book by EFX Sports. The Carb User's Guide for Maximum Performance reveals why omitting carbohydrates from your diet can totally crush your gains. Ever wonder how many grams you need for your specific sport? Not anymore. We give you the critical number you need to dominate your competition. You'll even discover the super carb that's taking the athletic world by storm. You must try it to believe it. Go to getcarbolyn.com/carb guide today and get your copy absolutely free. Once again, it's GETKARBOLYN.com/CARBGUIDE.
This is the Superhuman Channel. Evolution just got kicked up a notch.
Don't forget the secret word contest during random commercial breaks on Superhuman Radio. We have the secret word playing. And when you hear it, you email it in to onair@superhumanradio.com, and you're entered to win. This week's prize is the Hot Logic Mini Portable Automatic Oven. I cook every one of my meals in it now during the day. And the Real Paleo Cookbook from Dr. Lauren Cordain. So listen for the secret word and email it into onair@superhumanradio.com, and you're entered to win.
Hey, a couple of things I just wanted to mention. I was thinking about the show recommendation about why we're doing the shows. I just want to remind everybody that, if you have a show or a topic that you're interested in, send an email to me. I have stacks of them that are great. And, that might be what one person is interested in. So we're going to talk about some of these things next month. But if there's anything that, you're interested in hearing about, send an email on that.
Yeah.
And also I wanted to say, Alex Leaf, thank you so much. He sent a text here that said, hey, women are recommended to get about 18 milligrams a day of iron. So thank you so much for that. I should have looked up those statistics.
Well, Alex is studying nutrition at Bastyr University in Washington, and he's also the news director for Superhuman Radio. And one of the other things he points out, he said, that those are based on an omnivorous diet. So as Dr. Jeff points out, vegans and vegetarians probably need more.
Absolutely. It's very difficult. So on to, where do we find iron? So if you are like Carl and myself, liver, which I don't eat a lot of anymore. I used to in the old days. Liver is a very high source of iron, probably one of the highest, 23 milligrams per 100 grams, which is about a quarter pound of iron. Next, followed by beef and lamb, so that red meat. You get about 3.8 milligrams per 100 grams on beef. Then you get into some of your oysters, your clams, and your mussels.
There they are again.
Yeah, they're actually pretty high also. So those are the things we talk about, the heme, where those are the most bioavailable. Now you can get them from the other side of the fence. But again, my recommendation is take some vitamin C or make sure that you're eating fruit, because doctors say that vitamin C helps with the absorption of iron.
Really?
So that's where we kind of compensate that if we are a vegan or a vegetarian, or we just don't eat a lot of red meat, taking vitamin C. Again, that's why we talk about these vitamins, because they are all kind of interreacted. So, if you only heard about iron and you took iron without vitamin C, you might have a dark stool and it might not really be absorbing.
Right.
But squash and pumpkin seeds, not that people eat a lot of pumpkin seeds.
Although this is the season for it right now, so.
Now's the time, when you are carving that pumpkin, save those seeds, roast them.
Yeah.
Flax seeds, sunflower seeds, nuts, cashew, peanuts, almonds, pretty good amounts of iron. And then all of your whole grains, your cereals, your brands, most all beans and pulse crops, which are your peas and your lentils, your dark leafy greens, your spinach, your Swiss chard, all pretty good. Kale. And then here this one comes in again is good old dark chocolate. 17 milligrams of iron per 100 grams of chocolate.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
and obviously
impressive.
That's coming from the cocoa.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're deficient as a lady, you can just go eat a quarter pound of chocolate a day.
Right.
No, don't do that.
You know what else has a lot in it? And I just thought of it because you were talking about liver tablets from back in the day when you were bodybuilding.
Yes.
But another thing that is brewer's yeast. Brewer's yeast has a very, very high amount. I'm going to look it up right now. High amount of iron also. I just remembered that.
I was actually thinking about the brewer's yeast and desiccated liver. Back in the day, we didn't have a lot of sophistication, with supplements and things. But those two products were what all the athletes used to use. And, like you said, not only do we get our protein sources, we get good vitamins and minerals, but they're high in iron. I used to take 100 desiccated liver a day. How about that?
That's amazing. Did you take them throughout the day, right? You took them throughout the day?
I did. I took about 10 to 15 at a time. So, they were about 10 doses a day. But I'll tell you what, that's when I was really into powerlifting, and all the powerlifters, that's what they did. And man, you really did feel good. Your strength, your fullness, your energy level, there's something to that, In
100 grams of brewer's yeast, there's 2.2 milligrams of iron.
Okay, that's not bad.
No, that's about a scoop, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's about maybe 10% of the DV, so, pretty good. So again, iron is very, very important. Try to get it from your diet. Again, you should always eat a well-rounded diet, but if you are feeling that you are deficient, no problem with taking small doses of an iron supplement. But what you got to be careful of is that you should always check with your doctor, because iron could cause a lot of different types of medicines not to be absorbed.
Really?
So if you're taking like tetracycline, penicillin, ciprofloxacin, things for Parkinson's disease and seizures, just to mention a few, iron could hinder the absorption. So this is one of those things where you can go and get a blood test for iron and find out if you're deficient. I think I'm going to go do it because I'd like to know. And remember, iron, capsules or tablets are absorbed best on an empty stomach. And then you don't ever want to take any iron supplements with milk, calcium, or antacids. Always wait a couple hours. The same thing with if you are on medications, if you space it out about 2 hours from the dose, you're usually pretty good. And then again, high fiber foods, raw vegetables, brands, and then, caffeinated drinks. You don't want to take iron at the same time.
Why the milk, Dr. Jeff? Why not take iron with milk?
I think the iron probably will bind to those proteins in that milk. I didn't really find out why that was recommended, but that's kind of my speculation. There has to do something with that calcium in that milk that just doesn't.
Because there is a unique type of iron in milk called lactoferrin.
Right.
But that's different than the hemi iron that we're talking
about. Correct.
Yeah.
So, again, there's some interference there. Not quite sure what causes that. So again, if you're tired, the fancy word is anemia, which we all know what it is, but sometimes people don't really understand what that's about. Iron is very important to oxygenate, your brain, your body, your muscles. And of course, if you're into exercise and fitness or an athlete, the more oxygen, the better. But like I said, be very careful. Just don't go out and overload on iron because as Carl said, if you take too much, you can reverse. So, right around that 18 milligrams or so from supplements, unless you want to grab some desiccated liver tabs.
I was going to say, well, if you had a supplement for iron, would you go with desiccated liver since it has protein and other things?
I like to go more from what's naturally occurring. Not that, some of the iron supplements aren't absorbed, but there isn't a lot of research on what is now the best form of iron, what salt. Yes, I would definitely do some desiccated liver. And
because that's hemi iron in desiccated liver, right?
That's the good stuff. I mean, that's the stuff that your body can absorb very, very readily, and that's really what you need. So.
And by the way, I used to eat a lot of liver, but I don't eat it as often nowadays. But when I used to eat a lot of liver, I lived by myself. One of the reasons that I don't eat liver as much anymore is because the way it makes the house smell, and Elisa doesn't like that. She doesn't like that. So why don't you eat more liver? Is it because liver is one of those things like tripe where you make it and the house kind of stinks for a while?
I think so. I mean, when I was young, I was eating liver and, I was by myself and, my grandma taught me how to take it. You put flour on it, put it in a pan with some olive oil, and then you got to have lots of onions, just to kind of take care of that irony, that liver taste, and actually was good, but for the same reason, it kind of smells up. My wife would not allow me to.
There you go. See, that's what it is. I knew it. I was thinking because I used to eat a lot of liver. I used to eat fresh liver once a week, and I made it here in the studio the other day for the first time, and I forgot how it smells in my little portable oven, and I thought, that's why I don't eat liver anymore, because if I made this at home, Elisa would go crazy.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about trying some. It actually was sounding kind of good as we were talking here, but I know my wife will say, you go out to the restaurant and get some if you want. So I think I'm going to stick with the desiccated liver, and then she'll have the other side. When you eat a lot of those desiccated liver tablets, you have some high-powered exhaust.
Oh, do you really? Okay. So you know what?
Baby.
So you know what? You eat it with pineapple, and then you have Hawaiian music.
There you go.
That's all. Anyway, all right, so iron is the key word today we're talking about. Make sure you're getting, for men, around 13 milligrams a day in your diet or supplement. If you're going to supplement, find hemi iron, which obviously Dr. Jeff points out. Best source is to get liver tablets. There's also additional protein for your diet and other things in there as well, B12. That's the way I would go with the supplement personally.
Absolutely. And remember, go to Superhuman Radio, look for Ask the Scientist. Don't be scared of my picture there. Again, this show is for you. Our programmers can pick topics and things, but I really like when, people come in and say, hey, why don't you talk about this or why don't you talk about that? At least I know there are some topics that maybe not everybody is interested in, but at least there's a group. So again, I'm open to topics. Again, it's about giving you information and busting myths out there.
That's it. All right. Thanks so much, Dr. Jeff, for being on the air with me today, brother.
Thanks, Carl. Take care, bro.
See you